Welcome to Spreadsheet Lab 1. The first step will be to get a copy of the spreadsheet that you'll use to fill out. So I'm going to make a copy for myself. And now we're going to fill out the spreadsheet. I'll enlarge this so you can see better. You don't have to do this. But the way spreadsheets works is that you can have equations to calculate values based on numbers that you put into these, what we call cells. So this yellow cell, and as a matter of fact, all yellow cells will have equations in it. So the equations in this spreadsheet all start with an equal sign. And here we're going to find the hypotenuse, length of the hypotenuse for a side length of 8 and 13. So to find use Pythagorean theorem, you know that the hypotenuse is the square root of a squared plus b squared. So we need to use a function square root sqrt because our typewriter or keyboard does not have a square root symbol. And you put an open parentheses. And now we need to have 8 squared plus 13 squared. But we're not going to do it this way, and I'll show you why. 8 squared plus 13 squared. Don't do it this way. The caret, the up arrow, means to the power of 2. Okay, this does work, but watch what happens. Later on, if you use this spreadsheet, let's say you have a different triangle. You want to calculate if there's a 2 and there's a 3 there. Do you notice that 15 didn't change? Because what's happening is it's only using 8 and 13. So what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of this and start again. Actually, I can just back up a little bit using undo. And instead of, we'll type sqrt again, instead of typing the number 8, we're just going to click on this cell. This will square whatever number's in that cell. So once again, I'm going to do it again for the second one. I'm going to type a plus sign. That's a shift above. That's above the equal. And now I'm going to, with my mouse, click on this cell and square that. Last thing I need to do is close the parentheses, and now I'll hit the Enter key or return. The reason we did it this way is, and the reason spreadsheets are nice, is now once again we can do any numbers we want in here. A triangle with a side 2 and 3, the hypotenuse is going to be 3.61. So the way this works is B3 means that it's in column B, third row, and so it's just going to look in there and find out that the number 2 is there. Then it's going to square it, add it to B4 squared. Okay, so you could type in that B3 and B4, but it's easier just to click. Okay, so the next one is you're going to have to do it backwards. Given the hypotenuse and given a leg, you're going to find the other leg. I'm not going to show you how to do that one. I think you can handle that one. And the next one after that is the distance formula. Now, this is a little bit more involved. You know the distance formula equation, and so you could just type that in. But sometimes you might not want to have one big long equation. Think about how you enter these things into a calculator. How do you do it? Like, for example, let's do this one again. Maybe what you do is, instead of calculating C all in one line on your calculator, maybe you just take a squared and add it to b squared first, and then you take the square root. So I'll show you how you can make intermediate steps. So I'm going to right-click on the number 5 and hit and insert one row above. I'm just going to give myself some space. This I'm going to call just a squared plus b squared. Notice I didn't put an equal sign, so it's not actually do anything. But here I'm going to just do the click squared plus click squared. Okay, and then the next thing we want to do is take the square root, sqrt, the square root of 13. Okay, and we're back to the 3.61 that we had before. The reason I'm showing you this is that for this particular case, it probably wasn't necessary. We did just fine by having the whole equation in one big long line. But for more complicated things, you might want to break your calculations up into multiple steps. So for example, for the distance formula, maybe you want to take x2 minus x1 first. Maybe you can put that, down here. The difference between x2 and x1, and the difference between y2 and y1 right there, and then do the rest of the distance formula. That's up to you. Okay, finally, when you're done with those, you can test your spreadsheet by throwing in the values into the different cells that I suggest, and it'll even tell you what the answer is just so you can check your work. Do the same thing for B15 and C16 and check that your spreadsheet works. If the numbers don't show up as they are here, then you might have a mistake in your spreadsheet. Good luck.